oh boy. When Jack Hughes was NHL Draft eligible in 2019, a lot of people, myself included, had some very good things to say about this guy. I personally had him in my franchise generational elite tier list as a franchise caliber prospect, and before we get any further into this video, I think it's probably necessary to go out there and define these terms once more, just so nobody gets confused when watching this piece of content right here. When I say a player has franchise potential, what does that mean? To me, it means a little bit of a different thing than saying that a player is elite. Elite players, I believe, are found on every NHL team. They're your first liners, minutes munchers, traditional 70-plus point guys, and the thing that makes them so special is that if you have an elite player on one team, he is likely going to be an elite player on most other NHL teams. Franchise to me, though, are guys that are a tier above. They're used in the language in a certain way, where when you say somebody is a franchise-defining talent, that quite literally means they define a franchise. Sometimes these players are at the top of the league too, but traditionally with a franchise talent, these are the players that if you think about the team, these are the guys that instantly come to mind. The difference about these players and elite players is that these guys would usually still be franchise-defining guys if you cut and paste them onto other teams. The Sedins in the early 2010s were at the top of the league in scoring, and when you thought about the Vancouver Canucks, you thought Henrik or Daniel Sedin. If you move the Sedins to any other team, they would probably still have that label because they were just so gosh darn good, winning back-to-back Art Rosses, doing their thing. However, when you think of like the Arizona Coyotes right now, you'd think, okay, maybe Clayton Keller is in that conversation. If you took Clayton Keller and put him onto any other team, he likely wouldn't be the first priority when you think about that other team. Therefore, to me, Clayton Keller isn't really a franchise guy. Generational players are different. These are the guys that define generations. They are once-in-a-lifetime talents, or maybe twice or thrice in a lifetime. Now that I think about it, a lifetime's a pretty long time. So these are your Crosbys, your McDavids. You could debate their generational aspects of other players, like generational goal scorers, like Alex Ovechkin is, or a generational offensive defenseman like Erik Karlsson was, but that's kind of where I'm heading here. So, when I say that Jack Hughes is a franchise-caliber talent, and when I say that he was supposed to be that 3 years ago when he was drafted in 2019, it makes me so happy to see where things have gone for this guy in the past 2 weeks. Because Jack Hughes, ladies and gentlemen, has come out here with 3 points once again yesterday for the New Jersey Devils against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and it's a record-setting three-point night right here. The Blue Jackets ended up losing 3-1 to New Jersey, and Hughes had a point in all 3 of the goals. He had a goal, 2 assists, the goal was an empty netter, so it's not really the biggest thing in the world, but hey, he got it. Take a look at the crazy stats that Jack Hughes has gone out there with. His 6th career 3-point outing, the most amongst all New Jersey Devils skaters since his NHL debut in 2019-20. He also improves his totals to 4, 8, and 12, so 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 total points in his past 5 games, which marks the most points by a Devils skater over a 5-game span since Zach Parise, who had 12 points, 6 goals, 6 assists in those 5 games in 07-08. My gosh. Jack Hughes, when Zach Parise did this, was what? 6 years old? Yeah, 6 years old, because Parise did this in a little stretch starting on November 24th, 2007, which ended in December 5th of 2007. He had 2 4-point games in that stretch, so wow, good for him. But Jack Hughes was 6 years old when this was done. Now he has matched it 14 years later, and on the season, Jack Hughes has 20 points in 18 games played. He is now over a point per game. He is almost matching his rookie season record of 21 points in 61 games. He did this in however many 41 fewer games, it looks like, so absolutely dominating right there. He's got himself 12 points in his past 5 games and 14 points in his last 10. And if we go over to some of the tape and see what exactly these assists are looking like, These are just some really, really good plays. Jack Hughes is doing everything that we highlighted was the best part of his game back in 2019, now in the NHL. Taking over games and shifts with his speed, just absolutely whizzing by guys and not being afraid to dangle the pants off of a guy or two, use his teammates on the give and go. The chemistry with Jesper Bratt is astounding, and just seeing the Devils gallop down the ice in a charge led by Jack Hughes is so scary, especially since he's 20 years old and only looking to get better. He says this, "I'm shooting the puck, putting things towards the net. At the same time, I'm only 20 years old, so by the time I'm 25, I want to be a completely different player and much better." Man, that's such a great quote. I want to just take a time machine, go over like 5, 6, 7, 8 years into the future, and try to see what Jack Hughes is like then. Because if he's taking over plays in the way that he is right now at 20 years old, and he's allowing himself to flourish offensively with 12 points in 5 games like he has in the past week and a bit here, as an older, stronger player, I want to see what that's like. I want to see what a 23-year-old Jack Hughes looks like. He's still going to be getting paid $8 million. Take a time machine into the future, ask the guy, "How's your hockey playing going? How are you?" And he'll be like, "Trying to do better." Ah, man, it's so good. Here are the other quotes that also highlight just the swagger this guy has, man. "I want to help the team win, and I know how to do that. I'm playing pretty good. I was slacking for these fans, so I had to pick it up a bit." Oh man, just the attitude. I love it. He also says that, "I think we all know that ever since I was 6 years old, I was a playmaker more than a goal scorer." And we've really started to see those aspects of his game come to fruition here, with, of course, 11 assists in 18 games played. And so, when it comes to the label of franchise-defining talent that we had for this guy all those years ago, all the projections, all the people in the media, you know, Hockey Illustrated, Sports Illustrated, whatever the heck it's called, Hockey News, that's what it is. Yeah, I can't believe I messed that up. Sportsnet, TSN, guys on Dauber, guys all over the place, saying that Jack Hughes could be, as soon as he made the league, a potential 50, maybe 60-point guy. For him to disappoint in the way that he did, having the worst first overall rookie season in 20 years, points per game and points per 60-wise, it was somewhat of a big shock to everybody. But a lot of people, myself included, went out there and said, yeah, even though this is the worst season technically, you still have a guy who has been so good at the NTDP level, who hasn't really had any peers in his draft year in this program, because you got to remember all the other guys that were taken in these drafts. Okay, Patrick Kane was drafted out of London, not the NTDP. Matthews went to Switzerland for a year, so he wasn't really an NTDP guy. Hughes had all the opportunities in his draft season to make the NTDP his team, and that's what he did. Even though he had all these really good players around him, the NTDP was his team. And then you had yourselves all the naysayers saying, okay, maybe he could have gone to the NCAA instead of making the NHL right away. And to be fair, I was of the opinion that that decision probably would have been a good one, because he was a small guy, a light guy, physically immature. He didn't transition into the NHL in the same way that Patrick Kane did, because Patrick Kane, when he made the jump, because, okay, it's different eras. Kane is the same type of style of player as Jack Hughes is, but he entered a league that was a lot more rough and tough and physical, which was a lot less forgiving for smaller skilled guys like Kane, but at the same time, it was a league that was a lot more punishing for guys that would get beat by Patrick Kane. So, Jack Hughes entering this league in the same type of way, he just really didn't have that same level of success, not nearly the same level of success. And so, seeing the bad years at the beginning, it was really difficult, but you know what? We stuck it through, and now he's gone out there on top of the world. He's taking over the league, and it's in a way that's like, yeah. You talk about all the hype that everybody had for Cole Caulfield. You talk about the hype everybody had for Spencer Knight and Trevor Zegras. Jack Hughes is showing us why he was the best player on that team. And the way things are going with his $8 million AAV contract for the next 8 years after this one, it does not look like he's going to be slowing down anytime in the slightest in the next little bit. So, talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Jack Hughes and the way this guy has gone out there and started scoring the lights out. I don't usually make character profile videos, like, simultaneously, in the same week of each other, because Jack Hughes, we made a video about this guy, like, a week ago. That was on January 1st. It hasn't even been a week yet, and we are out here talking about him again. So, talk to me in the comments, your thoughts about Jack Hughes. Is he the best Hughes out of the three? Because Luke is in the NCAA, Quinn is doing his thing, although Quinn is a defenseman, so there's a different kind of scaling there. It's a pretty interesting conversation to have. Also, do you think Jack Hughes is a franchise-defining talent, as I have been labeling him in this video, or am I just hyperbolizing things again, because that definitely is a potential outcome too? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.